What a fantastic word to open the broadcast on, Sean. This is why they don't let you on TV. Hello, it's the StatrCast. It's the podcast from the lads from Statter Draft. We're back again. I'm Jimmy, and joined as always by John and Dino. Unfortunately, Gary couldn't be here tonight because he was arrested in a graveyard. John, what's on the menu tonight?
Well, Gary's not here tonight because of one of the topics on the menu tonight. He seems to disappear every time Liverpool get battered. So naturally, we're going to talk about how we were actually right and Gary was correct that Nottingham Forest would beat Liverpool. And boy, did they. So we're going to look at that game in detail. The fact that Slot has lost more games than Amorim in 2025. The fact that Liverpool have now lost 6 in 7. The fact that they're just a bit of a basket case at the moment. There's a slide there that's moved the needle in terms of the optics around Liverpool, considering their big summer spend. Yoo-hoo, big summer blowout, and it's backfired massively. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at, obviously, the game of the weekend, which was the North London derby. Because what the hell happened there with, like, there's a beautiful subplot there of Ebere Eze all summer being chased by Spurs to go sign for their biggest rivals and then bin them with a hat-trick. Like, glorious. Yes. And then we want to have a look at, every once in a while we look at kind of trends, stats, because that's what we do here over at the StatrCast and Statter in general. So what we're looking at is some of the numbers around home and away form, how some teams are really, really good at home and some teams are really, really good away. Obviously, it's balanced a bit more towards home, so we're going to get into all that. And maybe, depending on time, we'll have a look at some of the fixtures for next week. We'll see about that as we go, though. If you don't get that here, you get it on my Saturday morning show that I do on TikTok. So join us over there on the Tiki Talk, because we're there with the cool kids. Anywho, I think the best place to start is the North London derby. I think that's the obvious place to start, because...
So, how should I put this? I told you, didn't I tell you? I told you, didn't I? And look what happened. I told you, Arsenal on every level. The comment section went crazy and a 4-1 kicking. Like, I don't know why Eze has been bottling all this up because he hasn't got scoring returns really this season. He's been involved, but he hasn't got scoring returns. But wow, 4-1.
Wow. And the goals were good. So the thing here that was very, very interesting for me was obviously that subplot that I mentioned a minute ago. The fact that Spurs spent all summer trying to buy Eze, and right near the end, he went to Arsenal, which is his club. The second Arsenal came calling, he went running. Spurs ended up with Xavi Simons over the summer, and they're having two very, very different starts to their lives at their respective clubs. Eze's class, lads. Like, for me... I love Ødegaard. I like Ødegaard's probably my favourite player, what has historically been my favourite player at Arsenal. Probably because he was a football manager wonder kid back in the day, went to Madrid for a while at a very tender young age. And I like him, do you know, that kind of way? But Eze has to be Arsenal's number 10. Like, he has to be. The output, the direct running.
Just even at the end there, like he was... I think it was about the 85th minute or something like that. They were 4-1 up, and like he just had the ball. He started just like playing against like the defenders, doing a few a bit of like fancy footwork and all that. It was actually really good to see. But yeah, he's such good quality. There's Trossard's goal. Sorry, the touch that he got from who got the assist? Was it Martinelli?
Moreno with the ball over the top.
But like, such an unbelievable ball. But then Eze's like hat-trick afterwards. Like, they were just... I don't think anyone for a second thought that Spurs were going to beat them. You know, I know they're the bitter rivals, but Spurs past 3 years really just haven't been the same team that they were when they had Harry Kane.
I don't think that's necessarily fair to say, Dean. Like, at the back this season, they've had, up until literally yesterday, they had the third best defense in the Premier League. Like, all of their stats, all their numbers have been coming out back. The issue for Spurs has been the motley crew out front and trying to fight. And look, Thomas Frank for me has been doing it the right way. He's been doing it the right way. Get stability, get structure at the back, stop leaking the goals that they were leaking last year, and then build the attack secondary. Now, the problem with Spurs up front is they have Richarlison, who scored probably the goal of his career in a 4-1 battering. You have Matthias Tell, who hasn't got firing in the Premier League. You have Colin Moani, who, for me, is probably the most overrated forward I've ever watched at the top level. You have Ødegaard, who's fine. You have Brennan Johnson, who's rather good, but in a very patchy team right now, and then Kulusevski and Maddison injured. I think Kulusevski coming back is a huge game changer for them.
Massive.
He's so
easily
important
their
for
best.
creation.
Yeah, easily their best player last season, I think. Yeah, he's so important to the team, and it doesn't look like he's going to be back anytime soon. I don't think. And you kind of hate to say it as well, but even like Solanke might be able to make a difference when he comes back. I don't know. He was a bit patchy as well last season. But they just need more options. They just need more options going forward.
Solanke's been so injured that I forgot him in that list of Motley Crew forwards.
yeah.
Just to show what you're talking about. I think when they get those attackers fit, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think Arsenal now are giving me this worrying aura of champions in waiting. The fact that Gabriel, who's probably been their strongest defender all season, was out injured. And it mattered not one iota.
Numbers. This is only the fourth game where Arsenal have conceded and they were at home. So it's not quite the airtight Arsenal defence we've seen all season, but yes. The thing with Arsenal is you couldn't really pick a player in kind of their starting 11 and next 5 that we've seen this year that hasn't been impressive and that hasn't performed well. This is like watching City in 22, where every single player is on the form of their life, and now Eze is just the final missing piece. Do you want nerdy statistics on this game?
Obviously.
So it's a weird one, right? There was no massive gap between the two teams in terms of either passing or possession. Like it comes out a roughly ratio of 4-3 in Arsenal's favour for both. It was like 56-47 in terms of possession. The passing completion was about the same percentage. The volume was about 4-3 in Arsenal's favour, right? So if that's as far as you read into the numbers, it looks like it was a really balanced game. But the biggest difference was the actual shots on target created. Spurs only had 2. They scored from one of them, but they only had 2, where Arsenal had 8. Now, if you think about it for a minute, right? This says to me that this game was won and possibly lost in midfield, because the high scoring points, once again, it's Mr. Quarterback. It's the guy at Arsenal, the second highest ranked player in the game this year for us at our game, our customs point system, which, by the way, is at StatrDraft.com. Key passes, crosses, connecting, getting people on the end of the ball and getting ball in for his attackers is Declan Rice. No surprise there. But the exact opposite is what's wrong at Spurs. They don't have a midfield attacking feeder. Who is the strong Spurs midfielder this year?
No,
you tell me.
João Palhinha.
Palhinha's a DM.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no attacking midfielders. There's nobody in the centre. There's nobody up the wings. They've got forwards. They're rotating heavily. And sure, Frank will find his feet. But there's no one in the
Simmons and they have Maddison. Maddison's obviously injured.
Maddison's just back.
And Simmons hasn't really adjusted to the Premier League yet. I don't know if he will. I think he's going to be one of those players who, by the time he leaves Spurs, he'll be remembered as being fine but not spectacular, if you get me. And I think that's the problem with what Spurs have kind of purchased over the last 2 or 3 years, is that a lot of them have been fine but not spectacular. If that makes sense. Like Udogi's good. Udogi didn't play yesterday. Porro was on the bench yesterday. They switched to a back 3 to try counterbalance what Arsenal do. Oh boy, did it implode massively. But here's the thing, and I mentioned this last week on the podcast, that at Spurs, when they play the 4-2-3-1, which is their traditional system, as you mentioned there as well, they don't have an attacking midfielder option. So they're very, very rigid at the back. The two boys of Bentancur or Pape Sarr and Palhinha, whichever combination that you go with, they're a destructive force in front of the back 4, which means the back line is very, very, very well protected. The problem is when you get to the next layer, like Palhinha and Bentancur, they're not guys who, when they get on the ball, like Declan Rice, is going to find that pass to link up the play.
Yeah, they're not creative players.
No.
Not in the same way.
For example, when Palhinha was at Fulham, he basically won the ball and then would give it to Iwobi or Pereira and go, right, one of you boys go do something with. I've got the ball. Y'all, it's time for y'all to move. At Spurs right now, they're missing. I think there's a huge thing of, as much as he's plague at times, James Maddison is that guy. He's got that bit of swagger, that guy who will go, give me the ball. And I'll link it up and I'll figure it out. And when James Maddison's on form, he's fucking wonderful at it.
He looks like Shanks from Layer Cake.
He does. I think there's this thing though of the fact that it was the North London derby. You'd expect more from Spurs. Changing the formation meant that they were trying to bypass their midfield problem by using what they're very, very strong at, is 2 attacking wing backs. But they went with the wrong ones, if that makes sense, because Pedro Porro was left out. He was on the bench. I don't know whether he was carrying a knock or something after international break, but himself and Udogie would have been the 2 I went with. They obviously went with Jed Spence, who I think is another one who's fine but not great, even though he's getting a lot of column inches written about. More so his social media activity after he has a good game against someone. He's such a Gen Z Instagrammer. What?
Is he English?
Yeah, but he's such he's a Gen Z Instagrammer, if that makes sense. It's the like, you're going to Jed's jail, because I locked up another winger today, kind of thing. And Saliba, lads, if y'all need to see a post. So, Man of the Match award sitting on his lap, sitting on his lap in the dressing room, and he tagged Richarlison.
Cool. Did they have history? Did they have history together? Or is there context?
During the match, they fucking did.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he basically threw it back at him after the game. Was like, I'll take my victory and my awards and whatever it was. I think Eze got man of the match, but you know what I mean. He was sitting there with like whatever, and it was just like, North London is red, easy as you like.
So look, it won't be that easy in the reverse fixture, except that it probably will.
But you know what? No, don't Arsenal have another London derby next weekend against Chelsea? And Chelsea are a pretty decent outfit as well at the moment. We said last week that we should not underestimate them. They were going under the radar for a while. I even have a friend who's a Chelsea fan who's saying Maresca out and they're coming second in the league. So that'll be a very, like I said, I didn't think that Spurs stood a chance against Arsenal. I think Arsenal will have their work cut out for them next weekend now against Chelsea. If Chelsea can win that game, it will make the top 4 very, very interesting. Well, not the top 4, but the top 2.
If Arsenal play as good as Arsenal can, and it disgusts me that Arteta is on this run right now. And I still do think Arsenal will win it later on in the year, because City are City, and I know they had a bad result over the weekend, but Dean, you mentioned this about City last week. They'll have one of these results, and then they'll string 3 wins on the bounce together, and everybody forgets it. And then they get to January and then win 10-12 on the trot. I still think it's City who will end up as the eventual champions, because they've been there, done that. Arsenal haven't. I think that will play a part when you've got a big team breathing down your neck like a fat man in a fucking orgy.
Are they still breathing down their neck, though? Are they still breathing down their neck after that lost the weekend?
Oh, yeah.
I think there's 7 points behind.
I'm never ruling out, until they're mathematically out of it, I'm not ruling out a Pep team that's in and around the battle. But there is this worrying thing that Arsenal seem to have the trend word right now of aura. They have the aura of champions.
They have the aura. Let me bridge this dispute with a bridge of loving data and facts. I too think that if Chelsea beat Arsenal next weekend, it absolutely upends the table. But I don't think it's going to happen. Because, and more on this later, Chelsea are at home.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that.
We'll come back to it. Look, it's one of those ones of flowers to Arsenal right now. I did say in the summer and at the start of the year that squad-wise, they have the strongest squad in the Premier League. The fact that Gyökeres and Ødegaard can both be missing, the fact that Gabriel can be missing, and the amount of difference it made was now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Will they be back next? Will either of them be back next week?
I don't think it matters.
No idea. I have no idea.
I don't even think it matters. Like, it was like, okay, Gyökeres is out. Okay, fine. Grand. Moreno goes up top today. Okay. Ødegaard's out. Eze, you get to play in your preferred position. Fine, dandy. Bukayo Saka is just going about his business. Like, the fact that we're this far into the season and Bukayo Saka doesn't have an assist yet.
Watch Saka. Saka will pop.
But he's constantly involved. He's constantly busy. And it's nearly this thing of, because there's such a hyper focus on stop Saka, that it gives other guys the space to maneuver to do damage.
Oh, like Salah last year.
Yeah. It's like, if you can stop Saka, you can stop Arsenal. But because they're in such... Well, that would have been the trend at the start of the year. And what's happened is then you've got the other boys kind of going, okay, extra space for me to go playing? Fine by me. Yeah. And then Declan Rice is top 4 or 5 players in the league this year for me. Like,
Number
I
two
know,
in
I
our
know where
ranking.
he's at in our
Yeah.
data, but in terms of, for me personally, in terms of player of the year, I would have Semenyo number 1 season to date. I'd have Haaland number 2. I would have Xhaka 3, Anderson 4, and Rice 5, Caicedo 6. That would be kind of my personal pecking order.
It's Xhaka for me, just because I'm a romantic and I love this thing where Sunderland are a team to be feared, and because he's a comeback kid and he's a little bit older.
Because they lost away to a team that has yet to be beaten at home this season. I wonder who that was.
Who was that?
Fulham.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get to it. Don't worry, we'll get to it. We will talk about Fulham and home and away.
Look,
don't you worry.
I think that's enough of a love in for Arsenal, because it's actually making me sick to my stomach that I'm being
skin's crawling. Skin's crawling.
So complimentary.
I will throw one last thing in on the Arsenal Spurs thing, right? One tiny last thing. I cannot think of anything that will fuck a team up harder than dropping 2 goals in just before halftime and another just after the second half starts. That's a spectacular level of implosion that only Spurs could pull off.
Yeah. Yeah. So from a ramping on one side of the fence to another ramping, the wheels have well and truly fallen off the Liverpool bus. I've listened to some very interesting takes over the last couple of days. It was like, do you remember this time last year when Gary Neville had a sit-down interview with Ruben Amorim and was like, how have you lost 6 out of the last 7 games? Is your system working? Is it a player issue? And it was an hour-long interview. Where's Slot's interview? Where's Slot's dismantling interview, picking apart every thought process and decision? But you can't do that because Liverpool.
Because you know how they get.
But that's exactly it. It's like, and I hate saying it because it's been mentioned a lot in the media recently. You obviously had Andy Robertson last week after the European game for Scotland, and saying, my mate was watching over me and stuff like this. But then when Liverpool lose, it's almost, I hate the idea that you're like, the boys are grieving. They're a bunch of 20-year-old lads grieving their mate in horrific circumstances. Fucking, I will never be one to shit on someone when there's clearly, a mate dead.
Real stuff, yeah.
But it hasn't affected Portugal. Andy Robertson was perfectly fine, referenced it when they won for Scotland, that he used as a driving force, this, that, and the other. And I don't want to get too much into it, but I just hate this idea of either using something as tragic as that either as a stick or a carrot, or it being utilised as a conversation piece to say, okay, Van Dijk is not Van Dijk right now. Gyökeres is fucking sinking in a Liverpool jersey.
Do any favours for Liverpool to attribute losing battles to troubles off the pitch, right? And the reason for that is because as long as you have a thing that you point at that says this is the problem and it's outside and there's nothing we can do, then you're less likely to do anything about the actual problem. Like, I don't want to go too deep on the numbers on this because it's actually, I kind of do want to go deep on the numbers. It's ridiculous.
Hit me.
74% possession and you lose 3-0 at home. 74% possession, right? Massive passing stats. 86% accuracy on 700 passes, right? So you're talking something in the region of 560 connected passes. That's 1 every 11 seconds or something ridiculous. And what happened? 3 attacks, 3 goals. And there's a good reason and a bad reason for it, right? The bad reason for it is, and we're not going to talk about Liverpool centre-backs again because we would just be saying what has been said 1,000 times about Van Dijk and Konate. There is an injury problem. There is a right-back problem. Bradley and Frimpong out at the same time, leaving Szoboszlai at right back when he's only 2/3 of a man after being beaten by the Irish not that long ago. And he's just out of position. And it also weakens their midfield because he's their strongest midfielder all season. So you've got Slot is there. I'm not making excuses here. Like, there are big problems, but there's also short-term shit that they can't do anything about. And that's the complete lack of a natural right back.
Yeah, but a team that also invested over 400 million this summer. Like, where's my? We spent a world in the summer, and you can't get a team out. Like, small fucking violin there. Like, do you know?
They spent about 285 million between Isak and Wirtz, and they have a goal between. Do you know, when you're spending like over £250 million on 2 players, you were expecting. Now I know that they've been saying that Isak hasn't been fit for about 6 months. I don't know what the hell has happened there. And Wirtz obviously hasn't settled, but you expect more than
He won't.
goal between them.
He won't.
Come on.
Wirtz isn't the answer.
Wirtz
They
will
need,
not
they
work
need
in
a
the Premier League. I'm just going to say it.
physical defending midfield setup. The first thing you do is stop the bleeding. The bleeding is all the goals they're letting in. The first thing you do, I would be fucking putting 3 defensive midfielders in front of that back 4. I would be absolutely dicing the living Allardyce out of it until the goals against them stop. Like that, it's so simple.
Allow me my little tactical nerding here, right?
Hit it.
So they spent a shitload of money in the summer on the wrong player positions they didn't really need. It's almost like, and it's like we're rocking the boat. Like, yeah, okay, is Isak an upgrade on Núñez? Technically, yes, but Diaz and Núñez did a lot of the legwork to allow Salah to not. Yeah. Isak wants to be the main man. Wirtz wants to be the main man. Salah wants to be the main man. They all want to be the guy. Isak, I'm sorry, the amount of excuses that I'm seeing layered across different players, it's like, Isak, he hasn't had a preseason. Yeah, lads, we're in fucking December.
Yeah.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, that excuse don't wash no more. It's not working for him right now. In time, he will be fine. Wirtz, I said in the summer, and y'all told me I was a fucking idiot. I told you Wirtz would not work in the Premier League. He will not work in the Premier League, because guess who did his legwork? Oh, Granit Xhaka, who, as we've seen by what he's done this season, most distance covered by a Premier League player this season is the over 30 central midfielder.
Has he gone ahead of Fernandes?
In terms of distance covered, Xhaka's won, Sidibé's 2.
Wow.
The Sunderland centre midfield partnership have covered more ground than any other players in the Premier League this year. Xhaka did Wirtz's legwork so that he was allowed to be free to play. It's like, well, if Xhaka's behind me and he's covering all this ground, I can play in freedom. I don't have to do X, Y, Z. Isak hasn't the excuse of he hasn't had a preseason. Lads, it's December. It's nearly Christmas. We're nearly halfway through the season. The excuse of you didn't have a preseason doesn't wash at this point. Frimpong was bought for a different formation.
So, want to hear something about Isak? I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't care. 18 shots, 3 on target. That's Liverpool's tally.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like 15% or 16% shot accuracy in the Premier League at home as champions. Like that's disgraceful.
It's the 4th worst title defense ever at the moment.
It's really
and it has
bad.
Potential by Christmas to be the worst if they kind of continue in their own way there. There's just certain things that I don't like. Like if this was Arsenal, if this was Chelsea, if this was United, if this was City on this run of form, you'd be hearing Amorim out. You'd be hearing, oh Jesus Christ, Pep has lost it. You'd be hearing Arteta out. You'd be hearing Maresca's a fraud. You'd be hearing all those. But Slot seems to be immune to a lot of it because he turned Gravenberch from an 8 to a 6. Like he turned a midfielder into a slightly different midfielder last year, and it's almost like he's immune to it. And I don't know. Yes, winning the league buys you a fucking rate of credit in the bank. Obviously, it does. But Claudio Ranieri got sacked after it. Jose Mourinho got sacked after winning a Premier League. Like there's about 5 examples.
Is it just? Are they giving them until Christmas though? Is that what's happening here? Are they saying we'll go give you until Christmas, and
I think they're
if you don't turn it around, or go bring another manager and give him a window?
I think it's a mitigating factor thing. I think they're looking at the spend. I think they're looking at the embedding. I think there's probably been a conversation around the formation because Gyökeres is dying out there. Like Andy Robertson needs to come back in as their left back, and we said last year that Harry Wilson sat him down and should have nearly retired him last year in that game against Fulham. It was shocking how bad he was. But right now he needs to be Liverpool's first choice left back because Gyökeres, as good as he was last year, as good as he can be, he's dying out there right now. Frimpong is a wing back. Konate isn't the answer. Since he was mooted with a potential free transfer to Real Madrid, he's not been the same guy. Van Dijk looks like the sands of time have hit him hard this year.
Apparently he was yelling so loud in the locker room after the game that people in the tunnel could hear him, supposedly. He's not a happy camper.
I think there's a thing. Like Rio Ferdinand went to QPR at this point in his career after a lot longer time at the top of the game. Like at 26, Rio Ferdinand had 2 Premier League titles. At the same age, Van Dijk was in Scotland playing for Celtic. Like, do you know what I mean? He went from there to Southampton and then to Liverpool. He's been brilliant. this is not a shit on Van Dijk thing.
No, we're not doing those again.
No, but it's not a shit on Van Dijk thing. But when you're trying to play this like higher line, higher octane system, and then you have an injury-prone Konate beside him, a fullback who's a bit, let's see, he needs a bit more protection around him so that he can do the part of the game he's really good at. And that's why a big part of why they wanted Gahey was a bit more legs, someone who, it's almost like having two number one defenders. Like a lot of combinations down the years, you have a first defender and a second defender. If you get me, like Ferdinand and Vidic, two very different profiles. You've had Carvalho and Terry. Terry was your one, Carvalho was your two.
Duncan Duffy.
Sure, yeah. But do you know what I mean? And Konate and Van Dijk should be the same. Liverpool fans won't like hear me say this, but Joel Matip has been Van Dijk's best partner in his whole time at Liverpool. Joel Matip was the best partner for Van Dijk in his whole time at Liverpool. Not Joe Gomez, not Konate, not whoever it was. Joel Matip and Van Dijk together worked fantastically well. And this isn't a shit on Van Dijk thing. It's a case of he is getting on in age. Like, how old is he now? Is he
31?
He's,
I think. Could be wrong.
Let me double check. He's 34.
34. I mean, that's
34.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if that doesn't get mentioned enough about the Rolls Royce of vendors 34 years of age in the Premier League, he's not the spring chicken that he was a couple of years ago anymore.
Yeah.
And this season is very much about the young up and coming centre backs as opposed to the veterans, and the young up and coming ones don't exist at Liverpool right now.
Well, Salah and Van Dijk are the two boys who signed big new contracts in the summer.
Yeah.
Big money at their age profiles. Trent was in his 20s, probably should have put preference on him rather than leaning with the emotional side of Salah and Van Dijk, the captain and the spiritual leader of the dressing room. Salah's been very poor this year. Isak has done nothing this year. Wirtz is not going to work in the Premier League, but he will go to Spain and be a Ballon d'Or contender in 2 years' time after he leaves Liverpool. That's what I'm going to say.
But before we disappear from this beautiful massacre, because I do love seeing the Anfield crowd getting a kicking. There was another team playing in that match last week, and it was Nottingham Forest. And I would like to, once again, God, I can't believe I'm doing this again. This time, last week, John told you all to draft Murillo. We told you, didn't we? Didn't we tell you? We did. We fucking told you so, we did. And if you listened, you had a defender with goals this week. And I tell you something, lads, I think I've spotted one. And he had come up before, and we had talked about him very, very briefly, but there was an assist this week, and the counter-attack with Dyche seems to be a new toy. It's Nico Williams. That's your about-to-pop-off player at Forest. If Forest do things, it looks like Williams might be the stats man there. So don't sleep on him. They may make a comeback.
Dyche is doing that over at Forest. He's basically gone back to what... He's basically gone into the dressing room and goes, right, lads, what was working for you last year? You tell me what was working for you last year. And this is exactly, he's even said this in an interview. One of the first things they did in the dressing room was talk to the leaders of the dressing room. What did you do well last year? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's do that again. And let me add what I know and what I can bring to the team. And so far, like, suddenly Milenkovic, Murillo, Nico Williams are assets again. Your man Isidore is a more mobile version of Chris Wood. I think Chris's Wood's day in the sun is done. Your man Isidore, I think his name is up top. He's a more mobile.
He's Sunderland, though, or he's Sunderland, isn't he?
Sorry,
Isidore.
You know the fella I'm trying to talk about, the fella that they have in front.
I'd say look at the lineup there.
I know the kid.
You know who I'm talking about?
Igor. Thiago Igor.
Yes,
yeah.
Sorry, yes, that's the fellow I'm talking about. He's big, he's burly, but he's also he's got a bit of speed about him. He's got a bit about him in general, and it's like they're playing long balls, but he's bullying defenders. He's also able to take it down and get lads in around. Like Anderson wasn't the talk of the game. Morgan Gibbs-White is 3 games in a row with a goal. I think you might have missed the boat in terms of his form pickup, if you get me. If you picked him up 2 weeks ago, you were on. Proof. Okay, but he's not scoring 5 and 6 in a row, and that's not happening for his position.
Mm-hmm.
No,
But you know what, John? You're
he's-
talking about the right man, because if you're talking about strikers this season, like they're actually not really doing a lot. Obviously, Haaland is number one, and then Igor is number two with 9 goals. He's the second highest scoring striker this season,
Yep.
and then of course you have Wella, who's in the business too. But yeah, he's definitely one. If Dyche can get Nottingham, you know, scoring and not even winning, but now losing games again, just scoring goals. Igor Thiago could be the man to look at, and he'd
Yeah,
probably be cheap as well.
Sorry, you're thinking about the Brentford striker.
Oh fuck, I am. No,
That's-
Yeah, you're
Fuck
thinking
is
about the
that?
Brentford striker. You're looking at the wrong guy altogether.
there's Igor Julio and there's Igor Thiago. Igor Thiago is nailed on,
Yeah.
top man at Brentford. All the goals are going
Mm.
through him. Igor Julio is playing for Forest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
no,
in either
sorry.
case, I think Morgan Gibbs White is still the pick, because even if he's not scoring, he's working like a lunatic. Now, the flip side to that is, on the other side of the pitch, there's two lads who are putting in a shift every single week, and it's Gravenberch and Zoboslai. My worry with Zoboslai is right back does not suit him the same way centre does. He's able to do it. He's competent, but it's just not where he wants to be. But Gravenberch is still worth a pick.
I think we're going to see Forest start to climb out of trouble. I know we're going to look at the relegation battle in a bit more detail next week, but I fully expect Forest to start climbing up the table. They'll finish bottom half. That's where they actually, last season was an outlier. Let's just be blunt about this. Last season was an outlier. They'll finish safely in what I would call the Palace Fulham window of we're 10th to 14th and not hassled come in the season. You're fine. And that's where Forest will finish. They'll finish in that 10th to 14th pocket alongside Fulham, alongside Palace, and somebody else.
Not Fulham.
Yes.
Not Fulham.
And you know what? Perfect time to transition across. Perfect time to
Yes.
transition across.
Yes, indeed.
Sean Dyche, you're doing beautiful stuff, but we're going to talk about the team who's one of the top 3 best teams at home in the Premier League this season. Is that what you said? Oh, yeah. Palace, Forest.
I think
Palace,
that's
Forest.
one way of looking at it. Yes.
Yeah, Palace, Forest, Brentford are the 3 best teams in the Premier League at home this season. And
Yeah.
United.
Yeah. It's weird. Okay, so we were talking about this in kind of training at the weekend, as we do in our lovely WhatsApp group. And we wanted to have a look at the home versus away trends. So a couple of times now we spotted that. A couple of times we've been talking about reviewing teams like Brentford and Newcastle and realized that there's a huge wall of difference between specific teams, between their home performance and their away performance. So I did a little digging with the numbers. Here's one for you, boys, right? Here's one for you. There are 5 teams in the Premier League that are unbeaten at home this season. Name them.
Fulham, Palace, Brentford, Sunderland, Man United.
You know, I don't have Fulham on my big list because they lost one.
Newcastle lost one as well.
They lost one at home. They lost one at Craven Cottage, and I'll explain why shortly. But the 5 are Arsenal, Bournemouth, Sunderland, Crystal Palace, and Brighton, which right now, that's 4 of the top 5. Sorry, 4 of the top 6 there now, that Brighton are 6th. In case, sorry, I nearly forgot the most important number of the week. Brighton are 6th and headed for the Champions League, as you were. But yeah, that's only 5 teams that are unbeaten at home this year. But there's 3 teams that haven't won away.
Haven't won away?
Yeah.
Newcastle?
Correct.
Newcastle, Fulham are there as well.
Wolves.
And Wolves. And for the point of view of looking at these stats, I kind of disregarded Wolves because it's weird. Both Wolves and Arsenal are so far ahead and far behind in home and away that they were relevant to anything. But it's really, really strange. Like the teams with the biggest reliance on home games are Fulham and Newcastle, right? They're the most impacted by where they are in terms of ratio of wins to losses. It's a little bit of a small sample of 12 weeks, but I think it's after that, it's all the bees. Brentford, Bournemouth, and Brighton really, really, really want to play at home as well. Palace are a slightly different thing. They're just super defensive at home. They don't score much, but they don't let anything in. But it's interesting because I don't play football, right? The last time I played football, I was sent off playing as a 13-year-old in school, and it was straight red, and it was
You've won more red card than I've ever gotten.
This doesn't surprise me at all.
I played up until 18 months ago, and then I went into management. And Joe, actually, we'll touch on that for 1 second. The difference that has made in terms of how I watch football, because even when you were taking the piss out of me about the tri-power thing, I was like, wait for it. It makes sense. There's certain little things that even just from having done my coaching badge. Oh yeah, by the way, a lot of people who watch this don't know. I have a little few coaching badges under my belt, and I'm going to keep going and see how far I can go until someone starts paying me. But I enjoy it. But the difference from playing to kind of you're watching it in a different manner, and what the things you pick up, and even basically what we're talking about, this home and away thing, how you set teams up. Like West Ham away are better than they are at home, because it's like the pressure of the home crowd gets on them. So when they're away, they seem freer, which means that it's almost like if I was a manager in Nuno's position right now, I'd be saying, right, when we are away, I can nearly load another attacker into the mix, because the lads seem a bit freer. It's like the West Ham fans are walking out of the stadium 30 minutes in, booing, and they're leaving. And if you're a player on the pitch, that has to take a toll of going, Jesus, even our fucking own fans think we're rubbish. Whereas a lot of the teams you named as teams who are really good at home, think of the atmospheres, think of the adrenaline rush of playing in front of a packed St. James's Park when all the Geordies are liquored up for an 8 p.m. Saturday kickoff. Oh, bring me home. Like, that's Brentford.
We are not implying that Geordies drink more than Irish people. That stereotype plagues both of our peoples, and we're in it together, and we love Newcastle. We do. But carry on.
You watch the topless lads in the crowd at Newcastle.
They're good lads. They know the score.
The teams that are heavily weighted in terms of their home form, bar Fulham, there are places who are known for. There are also places that are known for a harsh atmosphere. Like Brentford is not a nice place to go if you're an away team. Newcastle's not a nice place to go if you're an away team. Sunderland is a fucking miserable place to go if you're an away team.
Elland Road. I've actually, I was going to do a couple of little bits before it, but you know what? I'm going to give it to you now, because I have calculated every Premier League's feral fan base standings. That's right. How each
you kept that nicely in the pocket for this, didn't you?
I did, and this is all mathematical. This is no commentary on people from anywhere until the very end. How would each club do if you only counted their home games, right? How it would change their Premier League position. Again, we're taking out Arsenal and Wolves because nothing changes where either of those are right now. Okay, United and Forest don't move at all, right? No biggie there. They're pretty even split. Fulham go up 8 places. Brentford go up 6, Bournemouth go up 5, Newcastle up 3, Leeds up 3, Liverpool, Brighton, Burnley 2 each. At the other end, you've got a couple of like negligible little drops from like City, Everton, Villa, blah, 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 blah. The weird thing is that there is a geographical-ish pattern to this.
Mm-hmm.
Palace would drop 9 places. Chelsea and Spurs would drop 11 each. If you only counted the home games, Chelsea right now are 13th and Spurs are 19th. Jeez. What's wrong with people from London, John?
Well, Fulham are also from London, and Palace are also from London. So,
Palace tumble there. Palace, Chelsea, and Spurs tumble.
Okay, so Spurs are interesting. Okay, so I can give you the Spurs breakdown. Spurs, because of the nature and the makeup of their squad, when they're at home, they're expected to attack. They don't have the framework for attacking right now. When they're away, a home team is expected to be the team in this ascendancy and to be the one putting the pressure and trying to win the game, which arguably suits the makeup of the Spurs team right now. So that makes sense that away from home, they're able to basically sit in a more Thomas Frank setup and spoil the shit show for the other team. Chelsea is, I think the Chelsea thing is a lot of inexperience. I think it's application. I think it's Chelsea are a very weird team. They're where they are at the table, justifiably so. But the problem with the kind of makeup of their squad is they're going to pop up random results like the Champions League game where they drew to Quarterback. They're going to pop up these random results, and they always seem to be against teams where they reckon they should beat them anyway. If you get me, like when I genuinely think Chelsea will beat Arsenal next week, and then I know Burnley are bad. Burnley are going to be one of my 3 relegated teams as long as Scott Parker's in charge, and I've said that since July, and that won't change my mind. But where Chelsea will screw up will be against your Brentfords, your Fulhams, your Sunderlands, the kind of mid-stack teams, because they'll go away to them, and a lot of those players seem like the João Pedros, the Garnachos, the kind of arrogant little swaggy baggy type ballers. They'll go to these places and go, we're going to win today anyway, and then they don't. But when they're up against Arsenal, when they're up against City, they'll be like, okay, time to play, boys, and they'll be there. So I think that's the Chelsea thing. The Spurs thing is the style. The West Ham thing is the style. Palace, I'm surprised by, because they historically have been historically are one of the best away travelling fans in the league.
Yes, but their problem is at home, believe it or not. It's 9 places in the league they lose if you only count the home games. So they have one of the best defensive records at home with only 5 goals in 6 games. But the problem is they've only scored 8, which is way, way down there. It's like all the kind of half the teams are in double digits right now. So what I think is happening is that Palace bizarrely are more defensive at home. Now they're a defensive team anyway. We know their defense is absolutely immaculate. Like they're doing amazing things this year. But they seem to be much more defensive at home. They've got 4 draws and 2 wins against 3 wins and a draw away.
And this is the Fulham problem as well. Fulham for me are the anomaly, because we're not exactly known for having the most raucous home support. We're the only team in the Premier League that has a neutral fan section for tourists, by the way, like, which actually hurts at times. Oh, yeah. We have a tourist section, like a neutral fan zone. So if you don't support either team, you can just come for a day out in West London.
Can I?
Yeah. But
listen, there's only one way I'm going to Craven Cottage, and that's
so small. You've got 3 lads and a cat sitting in the way and going, "Woo, go team!"
So on Spurs and Chelsea, right? I picked up another weird little number nugget when I was swimming around in these numbers. Like once I started into this, you know what I'm like. Once I find a thing to scratch, I just keep pulling until there's more and more and more. There are 2 and 2.5 teams who are significantly better at scoring goals away than at home. Based on what we've said here in terms of their shitty home performance, yes, Chelsea and Spurs are the obvious 2. They score more away than they do at home. But this is the weirdest number you're going to hear this season. After that, it's joint third. 9 goals away each. Bournemouth, not a surprise.
No.
But one of the best teams for scoring goals in other teams' houses this year, on 9 from 6 games, is Burnley.
Weird.
Burnley. I don't know if that's the consolation goal when they're already beaten. I don't know if it's that they've got a super weak defense, but they seem to have some actual goal scoring prowess. So I'm going to again point to Jadon Anthony and Josh Cullen as must-haves.
I know what you're getting at there. I think that is one of those ones that, like Chelsea beat them 2-0 at the weekend, and they did have a couple of chances at the end. It's almost like it's Burnley, job done.
Yeah, and let one in because it's over. Like Burnley have more goals away this year than Palace do at home, and Palace are like 4th.
So like to speed run some of these numbers, Fulham would be the most improved team if you were to count only
home wins only, home games only.
Fulham only count home form. Palace lose the most positions. Burnley
Spurs, Chelsea, and Palace.
Spurs, Chelsea, Palace. Burnley score more goals away than they do at home. These are some very interesting. Now let's take this information and apply it to what we do here in fantasy football. So if I'm looking at those teams right now, so I'm picking my team at the weekend. I'm going for Fulham straight away. I'm going right. Are they home or away? It's the same with Newcastle. It's like Wutamendi. Get him in your team when there's a home game.
Yep.
I know Harvey Barnes was the hero this week, but find the goal scorer. Find the goal scorer and put him in at the home fixtures if they're one of those teams.
It's Anthony in the aways, and I think an awful lot of people out there who are playing draft will have Jadon Anthony sitting on their bench. And the problem with the Burnley striker is he will go 3 goals without a game, and you go, bench him, but hang on to him. If they're away,
now you've hit the point. So explain this to me. Like because we play draft style, and this is obviously something that we're going to be teaching people over the very, very short few weeks ahead. More on that next week, guys. But if you're drafting, you're going to get down to a point in a 10-man league. Let's say you're going to have 120 players I'd picked.
Mm-hmm.
A bit more.
By the time you get to the benches, you're going to be at 110 in 10-man league, right? So you're going to be looking at ostensibly the best 6 or 7 players from each Premier League club will be picked. What will actually happen is it'll be 9 or 10 from the big names and 4 or 5 from the small names. And that's where you start to get the real gold. That's where you start to get your Fulham midfielder, your Brighton wing back, the player that won't win you the season, but he'll get you points all week long. You put him on your bench, you bring him on when the timing is right. That's what Burnley players like Cullen and Anthony are. You keep them on the bench and you bring them on when the time is right. For Spurs and Chelsea, it's a little bit more complicated because they're both these swirling giant squads that are very, very hard to predict. I hate to say it, but I think it's actually Richarlison is the one for the away games now. I don't like saying good things about the duck-faced freak. If it's a home game, that's when you bring your Brentford players on. That's when you bring your Newcastle players on. And you bench the shit out of them when they get on a bus. That's how it works, particularly defensively. Byrne Shar, Collins and Kelleher, these boys do not travel well. Well, Kelleher's doing okay, but for the most part, these lads are not traveling well this year.
Yeah.
And at the other end, like forwards aren't doing well anyway this season. We kind of touched on that. But Woodamendi or Voltemad, the big German with the beautiful hair.
Are we going to do this when I have to brush over my hair with my sexy mustache? And we're going to have to Woodamendi.
I would like to immediately object to you doing a side fringe with your moustache and German accent. Goodbye, algorithm. Goodbye. But yeah, you know what I'm saying here. And you're right. Like, you're absolutely right. This is the stuff that will help you navigate your own squad. Once you've got your players and once you've got your team drafted, that's week one. There's 37 to go. And if you make the wrong picks for subs, it will cost you games. It will cost you table place.
That's the most frustrating part of draft is that it's always the guy you leave on the bench that's picked you up 30 fucking points. It's the same. It's the same over the streets. There's amounts of times where you look at your bench and go, I left 12 points. The thing is, because our scoring system is so much deeper, that when they have a good game, it hurts so much more.
Yeah. What you got to remember, and I love talking about gameplay differences, and I don't think this is one we talk about enough. But if you're playing FPL, if one of your boys doesn't score, you get your sub on, so you get 11 players playing. Right, no matter what you do, you get the score of 11 players, apart from your bench boost or your fucking triple dipple week or happy hour or whatever the hell it's called this year. How we play it is different. On the bench, you're getting half points. If your sub gets nothing, you get nothing. If your player on the pitch gets nothing, you get nothing. You pick the wrong man. You want a child's game, go play FPL. You want to play the real thing, come play draft. But the half points through the year, if you have a stacked bench, those half points are the difference between winning and losing against a team that has a bench full of injured men.
And it's definitely one of those things, because we obviously have the system where bench gets half points and stuff like that. It's like when if you have, like, geez, there was a week last year, I remember Alex Iwobi got 37 points, but I lost the game by 3 points. And if I started him versus where he was on the bench,
you had the win.
I had the win, and I was also
that was late season
a week
too.
earlier, which gave me breathing room to go do some fuckery transfers.
Yeah.
Which I didn't have then, because that 1 week of breathing room was like, no, I need to win this week. So I couldn't go. And this is the beauty of playing draft style. By having that little bit of breathing room, you would have been able to go to a Dean and go, let's go play some shenanigans and go screw up Jimmy's week and make sure he doesn't get to a playoff. But
we're totally going to have to do we've talked about it for nearly a year and a half now. We're going to have to do a fuckery special when we launch this thing.
I think release time we'll do a double stack. We'll do our regular programming, and when we've released, let's do a best of starter kind of a best of starter chatter.
Oh, very good, very good. But yeah, that's it. Like, you got to play smart for 38 weeks. If anybody thinks draft is set and forget, you haven't met our app yet, but you will very, very soon. Oh, so soon. Oh, so soon. The testing, the drafting, the changing, the tweaking, the perfecting.
Yeah, look. I think when this is going to be the thing, right? So if we're going to look at this home and away, and you're trying to draft and you're trying to pick your squads, these are the kind of things you need to know. Like a few weeks ago, we looked at passing stats, we looked at the game changing, and definitely people have picked up on that and used it as part of their leverage when they're picking their teams. This is another one of our little kind of data-driven little pockets of madness where it's going to make a difference when you're picking your teams later. So, look, we've only a few minutes left here, so I want to look at the fixtures for next week yet, because I don't think we're going to give them enough time to justify. We're nearly here an hour.
Yeah,
we appreciate everybody listening for an hour, but
much love.
It is what it is. So I think the best move here, Jimmy, is to tell everybody where they can find all the bits and bobs and all this jazz.
Yeah, so if you head over to StatrCast That's StatrDraft.com, which we will also link to in the comments wherever you happen to spot this. You can do all sorts of lovely things, like see how our point system works, join our waiting list, which there will not be much more waiting, lads, I promise you, but I can't say anything yet, but it's happening. You'll see our Team of the Year, you'll see our regularly updated Team of the Week post, you'll see John talking about tactics, which frankly, if you guys think he's talkative on air, you should see him when the mic's off. He can talk about this shit all day and all night. And that's all over at StatrDraft.com, or keep an eye on us wherever you do your social mediating.
Because we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, or whatever it's called now.
Twitter till I die. I will scroll through Twitter as I stand outside Spates, head up to Todd's and get something out of Crank's Corner before a pint in Costello's on Twitter. And nobody is going to change my mind, because I'm an old man.
You actually literally, just by the fact that you call it Todd's, showed exactly how old you are. Last little touch, because it's a last little touch. Obviously, the November run is near an end. Jimmy has done some stellar work with his moving, chasing, and running. You can see my glorious Tasher and the Rasher going on right about now. So, look, anybody who has anybody who's been involved in November, kudos. Anybody who has been following people who are doing November, fair play, because November they're a great cause, they're a great charity. The fact that we're a little app that's yet to release and they were willing to become one of the title sponsors for us for the year is a real credit to them and everything they're up to, because they could see we're a bunch of lads who've stayed in touch for 11 years nearly because of a silly little fantasy football game that we want to bring to the world and get you and your group of mates having an excuse and a reason to catch up every other week, whether that's for beers, pints, or just general bananas in your local WhatsApp groups and all this kind of jazz. So November, thanks for all your sponsorship. I will have a full beard again by next week. This is got to go. It's working better than it should, but I also need to renew my Garda vetting soon, so it's got to go.
I'm glad you're aware.
Yeah, and I think, look, on that note, I'll be back on Saturday morning for my usual morning slot where we look at the games ahead of the weekend, give my top tips and tricks.
John, where can we follow you on Saturday mornings? Because I have had people asking.
Well, we are on TikTok. My Saturday morning show is generally somewhere between 10 and 11, depending on the queue for breakfast rolls. I'm not even going to lie. I have a routine now where I wake up, I go to the local, get a banging breakfast roll, come home, munch half of it, knock on the stream, have the other half of the roll there ready and waiting as a reward for finishing. So depending on the queue, I'm either on 10:30 or 11. So
sometimes if you're following,
basically follow us on TikTok, and when we go live, you'll get the notification come in. We have a lovely group of people we're cultivating this lovely little community now of people who pop in every week for the chats. We've got one of my favourite people who's a Brentford fan up the country called Derry. He's gas. We've got a fella from Cologne who comes in every week to talk about the differences between German football and the Prem. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful little pocket of the internet, and if you haven't joined the stream yet, please do. It will be worth your time. So sometimes
I show up and then I say something stupid and everybody calls it out and I go, okay, sorry. But I might join you this weekend.
That doesn't sound like social media at all. But Dean, Jimmy, I think that's it for this week.
That's us, boys.
Let's go watch some Monday Night Football. The teams are currently walking out onto the pitch.
Everton 3, United 1. Nice.
Bye.